There's a moment in every drummer's life that we could define as a true rite of passage. It's a moment when you spend hours on the practice pad. Your technique seems solid, you feel prepared, your hands move by themselves, your feet, coordination, everything is working. And then something happens. You get on a stage or the red recording light turns on and suddenly everything just shuts down. Your hands start to sweat, your body becomes stiff. In short, in the end, you play much less than what you're actually capable of. And that's where a fundamental question arises. Is the problem what I'm playing or who is playing? This question is crucial because it actually puts you at a crossroads that, if not understood, could leave you stuck for years. With this video, I want to clarify this point, distinguishing between two figures that are often confused but that actually respond to deeply different needs. Understanding this difference allows you to choose the right support at the right time. Let's take a concrete example. Let's talk about a hypothetical drummer named Luca. Luca is a solid drummer. He studied a lot, he's been playing for a while, but when the moment for a solo comes, or a passage where he feels very exposed, he freezes and systematically plays half of what he's actually capable of doing. And so Luca's instinctive reaction is, I need to study more. I need a new teacher. But my question at this point instead is this the right choice for Luca? Let's start from a fixed point. The drum teacher is a fundamental figure. He's the architect of skills. His work answers two very specific questions. 1. What should I do? 2. How is it done? In fact, the teacher works on what we'll define as the outer game, that is, the exterior game. So he deals with measurable skills. Let's start from the foundations. Hand setup, German, French, traditional grip, everything he can. Control of rudiments, control of foot technique, control of coordination, reading, grids, timing, styles. For example, if Luca wanted to learn the typical shuffle of Jeff Porcaro, a teacher would break down Jeff's pattern in a surgical way and then show Luca where he needs to place the ghost notes, where he needs to place the accents, which hand technique to use to get the typical hi-hat sound of Jeff Porcaro, and so on. So the teacher's feedback is purely technical. For example, you're rushing, you're slowing down, the volume of the accents is too low compared to the ghost notes, or vice versa. You're too stiff, your posture isn't correct, and so on. So his methodology is very structured. For example, if Luca is an adult, that is over 20, 25 years old, the methodology the teacher will use will be andragogy, so learning strategies designed for adults, with clear steps and well-defined goals. So the teacher figure is very important, especially for beginners, for those who want a specific technical upgrade, for those who want to learn a musical style in a very deep way, and things of this nature. In fact, there's also a figure called the teaching artist, who is basically a great musician who teaches the taste and the language typical of a song. In Italy, we know several of them, but the focal point remains the concentration on how it's performed, how it's done. Instead, the second figure is called the drum coach. He's the one who trains the pilot. Let me explain. Let's go back to Luca. His car, meaning his technique, is already a high-end model, but the pilot is afraid. And in this case, the teacher's work simply isn't enough anymore. This is where the drum coach comes into play. If the teacher works on the hardware, the drum coach works on the software, meaning he works on the inner game, the internal game. In fact, the coach takes for granted that you have the technique. He doesn't start from what you don't know how to do. His question instead is another. What prevents you from making the best use of what you already know how to do? So his toolbox doesn't really come from academic studies or from a conservatory. Instead, it comes from the study of neuroscience, performance psychology, communication, the study of learning and behavior mechanisms. So the coach will never teach you another or a new fill. He helps you understand why that fill live just doesn't come out, even if in the rehearsal room you do it with your eyes closed. So he works on the mindset, performance anxiety, the imposter syndrome, and access to your creativity. So if you tell me, I always play the same things, the coach doesn't assign you new technical exercises, but he accompanies you to explore what your mental barriers are that prevent you from accessing what you already have inside. So the goal is what is called the flow. The flow. Basically, it's that state in which the performance becomes effortless. That is, you play without thinking about the technical side. Basically, you also lose the notion of time a little bit. It's that state in which you're not making music, but you are music. Let me use this metaphor. The coach doesn't give you the fish, but he teaches you how to fish. I've seen in my life incredible session musicians blocked by the fear of judgment. Once that fear was dissolved, they started to build exceptional grooves, extraordinary drum parts. So, which door should you knock on? The question's very simple. So, at this point, ask yourself, is my problem a lack of knowledge or an interference in the performance? So, for example, if you think, I don't know how to play this groove at 200 BPM, then you need a teacher. If instead you think, I know perfectly how to play that groove at 200 BPM, but then live I freeze, then you need a coach. You see, these two figures are not antagonists, but they are allies. The teacher updates the hardware, the coach optimizes the software. The teacher's authority comes from their resume, from the quality of the academic studies they've already done. The coach's, however, comes from specific certifications on developing human potential and from the ability to create a safe space free of judgment. In short, to conclude, the teacher is the content expert. They explain the what and the how. The coach, on the other hand, is the process expert. They explain the who and the why. One builds a machine, the other ensures that the pilot is able to drive it to their full potential with joy and awareness. Understanding this distinction can make a huge difference between years of frustration and unlocking a new level of musical satisfaction. I'll leave you with a provocation. So the next time you sit at the drums, don't just ask yourself, what should I play? But also ask yourself, who do I want to be when I play? The answer to this question could show you a path much deeper than you imagine. If, while watching this video, you recognize yourself in some of these blocks, you probably don't need to study more, but you need to get clarity. By clicking on the link you find in the description for the post, you can request a consultation that will help you understand if, at this moment, you actually need a teacher or a drum coach, or even a combination of both. What I'm proposing to you isn't for everyone, but it's for those who have decided it's time to stop going in circles and start playing for what really matters.